Welcome to the first episode of Perception of Time, Tales of the Road. I appreciate everyone's encouragement for me to do this. So let's roll. First guest is going to be Adam Neal of Savage Master and the Hookers. Savage Master has a new album coming out March 28th via Shadow Kingdom Records. They have also announced that they're going to be going on a 2-week tour with Sanhedrin, the Homies, and May over in Europe. So make sure to go if you're over there. Enjoy. Cue the music. All right, I'm here with Adam Neal of Savage Master and the Hookers. How are you doing?
Great, man. Thanks, Steve. Really happy to be your first guest.
I I'm happy to have you as my first guest, especially
Glad you.
since you have a great new album on the way. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Oh, sure, man. Comes out March 28th on Shadow Kingdom. We're really excited about it. Worked really hard on it. Ready for the world to hear it, as they say.
Exactly. The first two singles are fantastic. I can tell you guys put a lot of work into it. The production and the songwriting definitely has elevated quite a bit.
Yeah, man. We spent. It's one of those things where you spent the extra time. It's easy to get caught up when you're doing. I know in bands, it's easy to get caught up just kind of churning it out. You want to keep new product out there. You want to keep the band going. You want to keep it happening. And sometimes you can lose sight of really digging into what you have and making sure it's as best that you can. And this time around, we spent a lot more time um, in the demoing process and the writing process. Even in recording, it was a lot more elongated. Um, so the first half was, us writing and recording these demo versions, but then we spent a full week in the studio recording it. And then also we handed it off to Arthur Risk, the guy from Eternal Champion and Summerlands, a great producer. Everybody knows who he is. I'm very fortunate that he worked on the record. And we handed it over to him, and he kind of, to be honest, just did his magic on it, like turned it into this production masterpiece that was well beyond what we even expected.
Yeah, that guy has like a traditional heavy metal magic touch. Like
Yeah, he
everything he
does.
touches.
And it's not just a copy paste. Some
No.
some producer guys have the sound that they use, and there's similarities and things he does. I'm not saying that, but I think every band he works with, he has his own puts his own little imprint on unique imprint on each recording. He certainly did with ours. We were very impressed with it.
I agree. And yeah, from what I've heard, it sounds great.
Yeah.
And this is the second album with Nick and then first album with the River, right? Or what did
First real album with Nick. Nick came in on the last record, just as live. It seems like he's been in the band because he was in the videos, because the other guy wasn't. So, but this is the first one Nick's actually played on and written for. He
awesome.
wrote a good amount of the music. We both kind of came in with about 7 songs each, just musics, um, and kind of tweaked each other's ideas from there, and to the point where it is pretty much a co-write across the whole album, I think. Even though, some songs you come in with, you might have a bolder statement with, or pretty much done, but then another person will also add a flair that you can't deny. And so
Yeah.
that's writing credit right there. But he really brought in a new fire to the band, along with River as well. They're both just such good guitar players. It really took it up, not to knock any of our other guitar players, but
No, no, no.
it really took it up to another level. The things they're capable of made writing more fun in some ways, because we could really go anywhere we wanted.
I totally understand that. And I mean, yeah, it's never a knock on past members.
Yeah,
Like
definitely
certain
not.
certain people come in and bring this like new fire, new energy and
Yeah,
kind of get everybody excited. I mean, I've been doing Temple Love with Susie for 6 years and we've had some lineup changes. And like right now, I feel like for songwriting for me, like we're at a place where I feel like I can really make it our own now.
right.
So
Like, there's something to be said about that chemistry that happens. Like, you could even be I would say I was somewhat burnt out even, but reaching to start writing for this album because we had been churning them out and I'd just been writing so much for the band for so long that you kind of get in a headspace of like, oh God, I've got to do another one, you know?
Yeah.
But then like we're saying, sometimes a person can come in. Nick came in and Nick had a lot of fire and a lot of ideas and really kind of reinvigorated their love of the band. And same with River, and then their playing also elevates things to where you start getting more ideas and you re-tap into your own creativity, which is a kind of a wonderful thing, man. You can think
What?
it's gone, but it can come back. You know, it's weird.
Yeah. Creativity is a weird, weird thing.
It really is. All
It's-
writing is like creating and writing is such a mystery in some ways. I'm sure you experienced this, and I've talked to a lot of people about this. How like some of the ideas come out of you almost full formed. You know, like
Yeah.
once it'll almost just come out, lyrics and all, or at least the main lyrical idea will be there. And then some songs you might have, I've had pieces of songs for 10, 15 years before I was able to use them in an actual song, you know? But I know that part's
Oh,
good, but it just doesn't have a home.
I hear you 100%, man. Like during the quarantine, I just sat in this studio room and I like recorded ideas. And like I have a bunch of shit that I don't even know if I'm gonna do it. And like I keep contemplating, I'm just gonna put it out there or sit back. But
Yeah,
it's like, but I guess it's good to have a full well.
that's right,
And
man. It
then
is because sometimes you don't have time to be creative or you need material or you have to draw from that well, you know? It's good to have a back catalog.
yeah,
I think it's good like you're saying, recording all kinds of stuff because that's kind of a great exercise as a writer too, as to just write things, write anything, just keep writing, keep putting pen to paper, you know, putting your guitar licks down on recordings, whether they're what you're working on right now or not, you know, like
yeah,
because that stuff sometimes that can write you through a block. You know, if you don't have a creative idea for your main outlet, writing a bunch of maybe even goofy music or music you
yeah,
don't actually plan on anyone else hearing can get you through that kind of block and it can get you back on the path to writing that riff that you wanna finish, you know?
yeah. And then you come back to it 2 years later, it's like, holy shit, I just did that
Yeah,
2 years
exactly.
ago.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
this thing. Oh, yeah. That's great.
And you guys just announced that you're going on tour Sanhedrin in Europe in May. That's
Yeah, we're gonna
awesome.
do that. That's awesome. Those are our buddies.
Yeah, they're
So
great
we're real
people.
looking really oh man, great people, right?
Yeah.
Really looking forward to that adventure with them. We're gonna share a van and the whole bit, so it's gonna be intimate, you know?
Oh, if you're gonna
Uh,
be intimate with anyone, I'd say those 3 people are good people to be
those are
intimate
good
with.
people to do it with. Yeah, we did a
Yeah.
US tour with them a couple years ago, and that was like we already liked the band, but that was like the beginning of a real friendship between our two bands. And that's always nice too, you know, when you have buddy bands and you get to go do stuff with your friends.
Yeah, makes touring a lot easier
Oh my
sometimes when you
god,
got
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Uh, nothing really worse than not liking your touring partners. That can be it's
Oh, that can be very awkward.
it can be rough,
Yeah.
you gotta stay
Yeah.
professional about it and get through it, but it can be rough.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of which, do you have like a favorite tour memory out of all of
Favorite
your
tour
touring
memory,
experience?
not I wouldn't say I have a favorite tour memory. My favorite thing about touring is that I've survived it. That you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As I'm sure you can relate, there's always these moments where it could go the other direction. You know, you do so much traveling, you see so many different people, there are so many different situations that occur that could go wrong, but somehow you get through it, and that's probably my favorite thing about all of it is that I survived it. You know,
That's
we've
a
had
good
our ups
point.
and downs all over the place, from breaking down in Death Valley to any run of crazy characters on the road, intervening threats, that kind of thing, fighting for money. It's not the same now. I'm a little older than some folks out there, and I've been doing it since the mid '90s. And I explain this to Nick sometimes and the younger guys in the band how back then you were so on your own. It wasn't the same as it is now. You know, we didn't have GPS or anything like that. You had to have these maps and all this ridiculous stuff. You were always getting there late or missing things, and different shit like that would happen. Also, you would also sometimes have to have confrontations to get your money. And these things don't really occur now as much as they did then, but you would really have to fight it out, or you would get into it with people in the bar, the police we could call. Things like that would always happen back then more than they do now. I think people are a lot more chill at the shows than they used to be. It was a full tilt party in the 90s, at all times, and you just kind of had to survive it. So I look back at it like that, kind of, it's just a survival game. Um,
It really is.
yeah.
Um,
And just especially to stick it out, like I know, it's a headache, man. The whole thing's just a giant headache, and you gotta really want to do it.
yeah, I tell people that don't do it, it's like they think it's a vacation or something. Like, no, it's
Yeah.
work.
Oh man,
Like,
it's
you
not a
don't.
vacation. It's a big stress ball, especially if you're in charge of things. If
Yeah.
you're in the driver's seat, and like metaphorically as well, with the whole project, it's on your shoulders, and you're kind of in charge of these people and responsible for them, in a certain way, and that's a lot of stress. Especially if you're in another country, no one speaks the language, and you're thinking like, how do we get this vehicle fixed? How do we do this?
Yeah. Uh, do you want to share a funny or awkward tour moment?
Um, I'm trying to think if I have anything that the problem is the best ones are like unshareable. They implicate people and
Uh,
get people in trouble. You know what I mean? Like you have to be very careful with that kind of stuff.
what happens on tour stays on tour. I get it.
That's right.
Um,
That's right. But ultimately we've been very fortunate and not had too many terrible things happen. I've certainly slept on the side of the road, slept in the van, slept in the dirt, slept in the ditch, slept at the Burger King. Those are the kind of things that really happen. More than exciting things is you have to tough it out, I think.
yeah,
You have to
the photo that I have as the for the show is me taking two chairs and sleeping on it.
Oh, man,
That's the
exactly. Uh, Trying to find some place to sleep in an airport. Oh my god, dude,
oh,
without getting in
worst.
trouble. It's like the worst. We had a bass player, Brandon. He was a little guy, and he used to be able to crawl underneath the benches and hide. I was always so jealous. I'm a big guy, so there's nowhere I can go that they won't see me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But yeah, man, you just survive it out sleeping at people's houses. God knows what that's going to be like. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes they're absolutely crazy. You got to be a special kind of person to bring a five-piece band home from the bar. If you don't
yeah,
know them, it's
yeah, dude. Like the last couple years of Destroyer Light tours, I told the guys, I was like, look, we're getting too old. It's like we're staying at the houses of people we know. Like we know they have a
yeah,
nice house and stuff. If we
absolutely,
don't know people, we'll just get a hotel. Because
absolutely.
one,
Go ahead, yeah.
go ahead.
No,
I was gonna say
the bailout to
you
the hotel is a great idea, man. Like at some point, it's your sanity is at stake.
100%. Because next thing you know, these people are like, "Oh, the band's staying at my house." They get a case of beer, they get
Oh
a
yeah, man.
bottle of liquor, and then they want to
Well,
stay up and party till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You're like, dude, we got like a 6 hour drive
you
tomorrow.
got to
Like,
drive at 8, and they want to stay up till 6 at least. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And when you're younger and first in bands, of course, that's fun. That's like a party, and you
yeah,
want to get in on that kind of lifestyle. You think that's part of it too, But over time, that wears your ass out. Most
yeah,
bands tell you that.
yeah. It's like tires on on a car. Like the
Yeah,
more you do it, you lose the tread, and then it brings out all the anxieties that you've already had even more, and then it makes the experience you lose the experience of it all.
yeah, it can amplify everything, especially if you're doing that and then you have trouble as well. Like if you've been kind of burning the candle on both ends and you're wore out, you've been drinking too much, you've been doing other things or whatever, you get into, we've all been there. Uh, and then something happens, the stress goes through the roof. And that's just not the way to deal with it. It really isn't. I'm lucky too now that, and you can probably relate to this too, because I have Stacy out with me.
Yeah,
He's a good grounder, keeps me totally grounded and like thinking with my head in the right headspace, like what I need to do, not getting off the chain about things. Uh, not partying or anything like that, really. Not that I do that anymore anyway, but it just keeps me with my eye on the prize of what needs to be done. Where's the money? What have we done? What do we have tomorrow? What's the drives? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, it's always good to have a partner in crime that can be the other voice
Yeah,
to
if you don't
kind of.
have that, you're kind of on your own and you're subject to your own devices,
Yeah,
your
exactly.
own problems. If everybody else in the van is getting drunk too, you're like, well, I guess I'll have a beer.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Do you have a ritual or something that keeps you grounded while you're out on the road that you
Um,
do?
we I wouldn't say we have a ritual, but some of the with Savage Masters, some of the setup is kind of like a ritual for me personally, in the fact that um, I do a lot of the driving. So that's part of my grounding is I have to be focused on the driving. That's a good thing. I don't mind the driving that much. I mean, sometimes it's too much, but mostly I enjoy the control of driving. Uh, but then when we get to the clubs, we have quite a kind of a bit of a setup. Like we have several things we have to do in house we have to talk about the sound. We have to sort out our intro. We have to sort out a place for us to dress. I have to go into that area where we dress and I have to set up all those outfits, get everything set up so we can easily change into them in our 6-minute intro that we have, which sounds like a long time, but it's quick. It goes real quick when you're trying to get those damn outfits on.
Yeah.
That's kind of my ritual that settles me into the club where I would have had some kind of a bit of social anxiety. I used to have a social anxiety going into the clubs, and that's one of the reasons I drank a lot actually early on in my band life is because you could probably relate to it. It gets you over a certain hump with people. If you're not a great people person, um, not that I have a problem talking to people, but it's awkward and I feel strange in myself with it. And so drinking was always a way for me to kind of step over that bound and get through it. But now with the airband, I've got so many things to do that I don't even think about it anymore. Because I'm occupied. My mind is occupied. Like I have A to Z I have to get done before our set time arrives. So that's kind of neat. And that's pretty much my ritual is our outfits and doing our things. And we all have touchstones in the band that everybody has things they have to do. And so I feel like we're a little army when we come in and we have our checkpoints and everybody radios back to each other that everything's ready. All that kind of stuff. I'm sure lots of bands do this kind of thing. But the
Yeah, I
outfits
mean,
like an extra level, of pain in the ass.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, keeping your mind busy is always a good thing when you're on the road.
Yeah,
That's I think.
definitely.
Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, snack of choice
Snack
on
of
tour.
choice. Gosh, man, I love so many snacks, as you could tell. Um, we in the band, we drink a lot of sodas, a lot of pops. Everybody's very into, like, drinking weird pop, or soda pop. That's kind of strange, but my favorite 2 candies out there in the whole world that I always try to find are sometimes, and especially out in Texas and stuff, you see this stuff all the time. Are they sometimes they have a kind of a Mexican candy section, and they have these little things called La Rosas, La Rosa, I think they're little peanut butter marzipan circle things. You ever have those things?
I have
Man, you're
not.
the best things in the world, dude. Incredible, incredible. They melt in your mouth and I just literally I bought a box of them not a week ago here for the house.
Oh man.
That's probably my
So
favorite that I find.
yeah, that was gonna be my next question. Is there something that you're always on the quest for whenever you go out on tour? You like
Definitely like those are things I look at. We always look for good tacos and stuff like that, because there's so much kind of bad tacos out there. So we're always looking for the good stuff. Good Indian food, those kind of things. If you
Ooh.
look upon that, maybe the club's close to a really good Indian restaurant. Oh man, that's a good day right there. You're gonna get too full and your show's gonna suffer, but it's gonna be a good day.
Well worth it. Yeah, for me.
Absolutely. That's worth it.
Yeah, for me, it's whenever we came across like a Thai restaurant, that was always
Oh
my.
man, yeah, Thai is great too. Thai is especially good on a day off because you can get like kind of steamed out and spiced out and kind of
Oh yeah.
fix your system a little bit with the Thai food. I love that.
Do you have a favorite city that you like to play in, or do you have
Favorite
some
city?
or a couple? You mean you don't have to just
Um,
name one?
like, gosh, man, It's that's a weird thing because I feel like the more you do it, the more the cities kind of become the same a little bit. Like it's not as when I was first starting out in the 90s, you would go to like if you went to New York or let's say New York or in LA or something. I'm a country kid, so I was very underexposed to all this stuff. So going to New York was like being in a movie. Like that was like a big deal, like that's a real place, not like this, backwards place where I come from. LA too, you were like, well, this is where movie stars are, so they held this certain weight. Now as an adult, like an older adult, I love those places. And New York is kind of still special, but they all kind of run together. We love playing places where we have our closest friends, Detroit, those kind
Yeah,
of
that's right.
places. Cleveland's good to us because we have so many friends, and that kind of makes a difference. Seattle, um, yeah, San Francisco as well. Those are just places where we know that we'll see good friends of ours, and those are always the memories you're looking to make, even past the shows. Is seeing your buds. That's a big part of it for me, anyway. Is keeping that connection going with people that I've known for so long. And the more you do it, the more you come around, and it's just more family it feels. So I think those are the cities that probably mean the most to me now.
Yeah, it's I know that feeling like you're like, I haven't seen this person in like 2, 3 years, and you go to their
Yeah,
town and you get to catch up and you're like, this is great. And then sometimes you stay at their house and you're like, get to actually catch up and
Oh
talk
yeah, you get
and
the whole bit. Maybe they play you some records. Maybe you watch a movie there or something real cool. You got the day off or something like that at your friend's house, and it's in LA. That's like a great memory.
yeah.
Recently we had some van trouble out in Oakland, California, and we had to get our vehicle fixed. And everybody else went. It was the last days of the tour. We had to rent a car for the last couple of days to get to the shows. Uh, and so I had to come back to Oakland. Me and Nick came back to Oakland and stayed with our friend Scott from Night and High Spirits for like 3 or 4 days. And that seems like it sucks because you're trapped there, but it was actually incredible. You get all this hangout time in Oakland with your buddy, and it's like you have a free place to stay. Feels like a little paradise or something. There's plenty of weed out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, exactly. You can actually roam free
I know you
behind
can
the
go
spirit.
crazy. Go eat some weird, yeah, Thai food, whatever you want to eat.
Yeah.
It's everything out there, so that's amazing. Those experiences kind of make it, I think, over the years.
They definitely do. And like you said, the more that you've toured, the longer you've toured, you've learned the things you appreciate and love about touring.
Yeah,
Definitely the more you
absolutely.
do it. All right, let's get to know you a little bit. Uh, what band or artist made you want to play music, or what hooked you to want to play?
Um, well, I think I had an interest in music since I was young. My mom and dad had a lot of 8 tracks and some records, and that was all consisting of stuff like 70s rock, Janis Joplin, Eric Clapton, even Black Sabbath and Alice Cooper, the Beatles, stuff like that. These are things I heard when I was a kid that really intrigued me. I'm not a huge Beatles fan, but when I was a kid, there's something like I think the Beatles are for a kid, it's almost like kids' music in some ways. It really sucks you in. There's something magical about it. It's a little goofy. It's a little cartoonish, especially some of the material. Sergeant
Yeah,
Pepper's. So that was probably my first gateway. Even though I'm not a big Beatles fan, that definitely brought me in. The first things I really took notice of were Alice Cooper. My dad had Killer on the 8 track, and man, that one it kinda scared me, but it was also very intriguing, and I thought, "Oh, music can be all kinds of weird stuff. It doesn't have to be, what you just heard on the radio." But, flash forward to that, like, I started getting really into music around, 8 and 9, and so the first, album I actually bought with my own money was Twisted Sister Stay Hungry. That
ooh,
was the first one I bought with my own actual money that I had made from working that summer. And, before that, I had had a Motley Crue tape that a friend had gave me of, the first Motley Crue and a Herbie Hancock tape, which is kinda hilarious. All over the also
yeah,
was really into Michael Jackson, thought Michael Jackson was excellent. I bought Michael Jackson around the same time that I bought the Stay Hungry.
that's awesome.
Thriller. Thriller was just like Thriller blew my mind as a kid, I loved it. Uh, it had the whole video and had the whole extra bit to it, and I liked horror stuff, so I was just immediately taken with that. But Twisted Sister, Stay Hungry, that was the first record I bought with my own money and totally obsessed about from start to finish. Like every bit of the album I know to this day, still I could sing the record over. Um, that was really the one. And then from there on, man, you found I found stuff like my uncle turned me on to Wasp, and Wasp was really big for me. Something about the way Blackie writes. All the songs are kind of the same song in a way, you know what I mean? Like he kind of he is cannibalizes his own songs in this kind of interesting way, but I appreciate that, you know, like he's got his own style. And then of course, a big launching point was finding Metallica. My uncle played me Trapped Under Ice off of Ride the Lightning. That's the first Metallica song I ever heard. And to me at the time, it was the fastest, like most intense thing because I hadn't heard thrash metal yet. And, so it was pretty like, "Oh god, what is this? Like, this is exciting. I wanna beat someone to death to this." Like, this is incredible, you know? Um, and then you hear the Slayers and bands like that, but Metallica was huge, man. I can't overstate how important it was for me to hear Metallica at that point. I think I heard that record in '87, around '87, before Justice came out, I heard that one, and then I couldn't find it, so I bought Master of Puppets on cassette and loved it. It was honestly though, it was almost too mature for me. It was too much. You know what I mean? Like I didn't understand it as well as I understood Ride the Light. Yeah. uh,
See, I
you
thought
know,
Master of Puppets is more their like stoner album, where Ride the Lightning is their drinking album. You know?
yeah, I think that's kind of true. It's like more ponderous and it's stretched out, and there's like way more to it. It's like not pompous, but more in that direction of
Yeah,
being ridiculous, leading to what would be Justice, which is just over the top.
yeah,
They're going too far, you know what I mean? Like, I love the record, but you know what I mean? Like, the songs are
yeah,
so long
yeah,
and they overwrote for it. But,
yeah. There's something about the simplicity of the band that was great.
oh, yeah, the first 2 records are just such like a just a hot iron, man. They're just so perfect. The riffs just lock in, and there's still this punk energy to them that I do think after Ride the Lightning, they lose. A bit of that punkiness, you know, and it becomes a little more technical and a little more thought out, and that's cool. But those records were probably the most important. Of course, I got deep into Slayer, man. You know, um, I came on to Slayer at South of Heaven was the first one I heard as a kid, and I liked it quite a bit. But then, of course, you go back, and then the first one is incredible. Show No Mercy really, really rocked me as a kid. As soon as I heard Evil Has No Boundaries, I thought, oh, I want to do a band like this. I want to be in this kind of band. You know, whatever this is what I'm thinking is good. You know, I was
Yeah,
hearing Misfits around the same time too, and the Misfits like Earth AD and Slayer's first album, and even Rain and Blood. There's similarities in those records and the speed and presentation of like how it's done. So I definitely at a young age got this idea that I wanted things to be that kind of speed, fast punk thing. And that really came into like my work in the hookers and stuff was like very based in Earth AD Misfits type stuff. There's something powerful about that stuff. I've always heard that there's extra mixes of that album that have never come out. I don't know if that's true, but I've read that there are other mixes where there's extra vocals and all kinds of stuff like that to those
oh wow.
records. Um, but they didn't put it out for some reason. I think those are probably the biggest ones. There were all kinds like Ted Nugent. Uh, even though Ted's quite of a twit at this point, you know, like nobody wants to listen to this guy talk about anything. But man, the first few Ted Nugent records, when I was really getting into guitar, I bought them. I bought the first. I bought Ted Nugent, and then I bought Free for All on vinyl at the flea market for like a buck each or something like that. And just checking it out because I think I remember thinking Stranglehold was cool when I was a kid, and then got those home, and his guitar playing really, really influenced me. Like I couldn't believe how it was like this melding of like Chuck Berry style guitar through almost a speed metal filter. Like the way he would play those riffs so fast. You know, he just does Chuck Berry type shit is all he does really, but he just does it at like light speed. And that really impressed me. And he had all those chugging A riffs, which I think like that song Pony Express by the Amboy Dukes, that might be the first heavy metal song with that kind of A riff in it that I can think of. With the chaunting on A, like dun dun dun, like that might be the
Yeah.
first one of them I can even like place. Um, those records were madly influential. Lots of punk stuff like that. What about yourself? What were the records that you first popped off on?
Well, so not a memory that I remember so well, but my sister and my mother told me is like when I saw the video for Jump in Panama by Van
Oh,
Halen, when I saw those on MTV, I was like, I want to be David Lee Roth. Like
oh man, I
I
bet,
was
dude.
enamored. I was
I thought
enamored
he
by
was so
him.
cool at the time. I remember Hot for Teacher was probably the first one I seen, and I just thought, oh, this guy's the coolest dude. Like, how do you be
It's like I
this
want to.
cool?
I know, right? I was like, I want to be that cool.
Yeah, and he had all the girls and everything, man. It just seemed
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
perfect situation.
The perfect fantasy land that every young boy's
Yeah,
dream.
and he was actually living it at that point, which is crazy, when you think about it.
Exactly.
He was living it for
Uh,
real.
I mean, yeah, I got into playing guitar. I'm younger. I was born in '83, so when I found like in the '90s, like my sister had Super Unknown and
Oh, wow, okay, yeah.
Alice in Chains Dirt, and then I got into like Deftones and that first Corn record and stuff like that, or first and second Corn record, and I was like, I want to play guitar. Like
Right.
I just love the rawness and the motion of it, and all those bands are kind of what shaped me to want to play
That's
guitar.
very interesting. Did you have a 7 string at the time?
I never got a seven string.
You never
I
got a 7
never
string?
did. Never did. I I I wanted one, but then I was like, one, I had just started playing,
Yeah.
and my brother-in-law, he is a guitar player, and he's 6 years older than I am, so I kind of looked up to him, and he gave me his like hand-me-down guitars. Like I had a West Tone guitar with the
I
reverse
play a West Tone
headstock.
bass now, right now
Oh,
in Savage Master, I play a West Tone bass.
yeah. So, and then like I tried to learn on my own, and I sucked, and my brother-in-law worked for a guitar shop, and he's like, we got a teacher, and I went to that guy, and he kind of taught me the ropes and started
That's
my first band when I was 15. And
oh,
uh
wow, that's killer, man.
yeah, I was playing with all older guys.
What kind of music was the first band?
So we were a mix of all that 90s music, like
Oh, wow.
Tool, uh Helmet, um and then probably throw in some Deftones too,
Oh, wow,
like a
yeah.
lot of those drifts. Um yeah, it was, I wouldn't say it, I mean, we were not new metal like your typical like cookie cutter new metal band. We're more like 90s alternative metal,
Gotcha.
aka new metal, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, we didn't do like the jump up mattress riffs or anything like that. It was more
You
of
guys
like
have
the helm,
braids or anything?
no braids, no no strap down to
Right.
the knee.
Some Jinkos or something, like
Yeah, yeah,
oh, that's awesome. I've seen a lot of those bands back then, man. I've seen Helmet several times. Very
yeah.
impressive back then.
Yeah, they were just some like something mechanical, especially like Meantime and Strap It On. Like there was
Yeah,
something just,
it had definitely like, at the time, like, I'm not super into it, but at the time, it seemed really fresh and like a new approach to things, especially Helmet. Seemed very much like a different kind of, more, technical approach to it. I know they're not that technical, but it just seemed like with the stops and the way they do things or whatever.
yeah, it's just so
Definitely.
precise. Like
Yeah, very.
the drummer is amazing. Uh,
Same with Tool. Seen Tool a few times. I was never like super into it, but live it was crazy. I thought like the way
yeah, I
the
got this.
ability to play was nuts.
Yeah, the way they play off each other is pretty crazy. Um, do you have, what is the most surprising artist on your
Most
that you?
surprising, gosh, that's really tough. Like I feel like I only go see things I like for the most part. Um, um, I tell you something like as far as modern music that surprised me is me and Stacy went and seen Chapel Roan, and that was way better than I ever expected it to be. I don't know what I expected it to be, but it was presented more over the top like a rock show than a pop show, and that surprised me. Like, I guess I expected maybe there to be canned beats and, like, it to be a little more electronic and not as classic rock and roll or something, but they came out with guitars and real drums, and they did it for real, and their band kicked ass, and she really put it over and won me over, which was surprised. I was very surprised by it, how
Yeah,
good that could be.
Susie's niece is a huge Chaperone fan, and she's like, we should listen to it. And like, I put on, it was like her newest single. It might be not new anymore, but I was like, damn, that song actually has some really good hooks, pop
Yeah, and
hooks
that's
in
the
it.
kind of crazy part is that she does have a lot of hooks, and I from what I understand, she writes a good amount of the material, uh, and I love, I was reading how she was actually dropped, like, right before she got more popular, and they were the song she turned in was, like, her biggest hit, and they didn't like it and dropped, and then, of course, that song's massive now, Pink Pony Club or whatever,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, live, it was great because she did, uh it was just more connected than a lot of pop music you see. Like, I feel like if I was seeing a Katy Perry or something, it would be kind of a little homogenous, maybe somewhat generic, you know what I mean? In its presentation. But she came out and did like a full like rocker kind of thing, like sang with the audience, did the whole bit, played with the audience, talked, did all her songs, had some jokes. They did like a some breakdowns in the songs that you wouldn't expect. It was way more natural and cool. I really appreciate it. So I'd say that that one surprised me the most as of recent stuff. Um, but you never know. You see so many bands out there. You never know
yeah,
who's going to
exactly.
be big either. You know.
Yeah. Um, Obviously, I know you're a huge horror fan. Can you name me three horror movies that you have to watch on Halloween? Like they're
On
the
three horror movies for Halloween. Ooh, that's really good. Um, well, I always watch my favorite horror movie of all time, which is Gates of Hell. That's always on my list, top of my list, favorite movie ever. I think, of course, Halloween 3 is probably the quintessential Halloween movie. You
yeah.
know, it takes place on Halloween. It's about Halloween masks. That's pretty essential. Gosh, otherwise, you know, stuff that we always watch are like Trick or Treat, Return of the Living Dead. We always go for the big ones around Halloween. You know,
Got to. I mean, you started it as a tradition when you're a kid, so it's the movies that grabbed
definitely,
you, and you got to
definitely, and
keep watching them.
forever, Return of the Living Dead was our Halloween movie. I watched it years and years in a row. You know, same with Halloween 3. That's always one that is on the top of the list. But you can't go wrong with any of those classics, really.
How about a horror movie that maybe is obscure that people should check out that maybe don't know?
Um, well, that's a pretty good question. I would recommend two movies. One would be All the Colors of Darkness with Edwidge Finch. It's a Sergio Martino movie. It's like a psychedelic giallo, definitely out there movie. If you can get into this one, you can love a whole slew of movies. Um, that's definitely one. Um, one we just watched that we really loved that I would throw out there that's totally demented is called Malabimba, the Malicious Whore. This movie was crazy. It's like I was just telling Stacy that I don't really believe in the supernatural very much. So possession movies are kind of goofy to me sometimes, even though I like a lot of them. But I really like it when it's a sexual possession. Now that's taking it over the top, you know, when the person is possessed sexually into doing some kind of crazy stuff. That's great. And this movie had that in spades. This lady was just over the edge in every way of completely harassing everyone around her sexually. It was insane. Malabimba, the malicious whore. That's the one I was
Right.
saying.
I haven't seen that, so I have to check that out.
It pairs well with
Speaking
the
of
sinful dwarf.
possession movies with weird sexual stuff, Amityville Horror: The Possession,
Oh
the
my
second
god,
one,
dude. The second one is the one, man. Oh,
dude.
like
It's I'm almost amazed that it got made. Like
yeah, man,
to
like, now, I seen that movie when I was younger, and I didn't remember it that well. I remember liking it. I like both the first 2 Amityvilles, and I think part 3 is pretty cool too. But I rewatched that maybe 2 years ago, and I was shocked at the subject matter and the story. Like, you'll be taken aback, like, "Oh, this is gonna happen, okay." Uh,
yeah.
Definitely a shocker. That's a great one for the list, and I don't think people know that one very well.
I know, I'm surprised. That should
Yeah,
be, like, in people's lists because it's like what was it made, like, in 1980, like, early '80s?
early '80s,
And
yeah. It's like, I would liken it to how, like, Exorcist 3 is incredible, you
oh,
know?
one
Like
that's, like, top 3
yeah,
movies for me.
amazing. Amityville 2 is along the lines of, like, an unsung, classic, like, it's a really dark picture, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
Another one we just watched, like, the Malabimbo was, uh, What the Peeper Saw. This movie was demented. Like, all has to do with a bad kid who's, like, obsessed with his stepmom and just the terrible things that could ensue from that. It was really,
Ooh,
really intense, and the ending is a punch to the face. You know, it's really like, "Oh my god." Yeah, it was really good.
uh,
Uh, yeah,
you're actually listing off movies that I haven't seen, so I gotta check them out.
try, try.
I appreciate that. Uh, best bathroom stop on tour.
Bathroom
You know,
huh?
we
Probably,
don't
man go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say we don't get very many opportunities to use a really nice bathroom.
That's true,
So
and unfortunately, man, like, I would have to say it's a place that I don't really like, and that's Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's
they
has the
do.
best looking bathrooms. They're clean. You have your own little stall. It's real nice. There's plenty of them too. It's never, like, too full of people. There's always a stall. But I hate
And it's
going
got
in those
the George Costanza stalls that go all the way to the bottom.
yeah, all the way to the bottom. That's right. Total privacy. But, yeah, I hate going in there, because it's Buc-ee's and it's like an American nightmare in there. They do have some good burritos sometimes, but I hate to say that that's it, but that's probably the one, man. That place is great for
It's
bathrooms, for bathrooms.
yeah, it's hard to deny it. It's always chaos in there, no
Oh,
matter
yeah,
where.
yeah, you gotta wade through all these people and all the endless Buc-ee's merchandise, and it smells like maple bacon almonds or something in there all the time. It's got this weird smell, like they're cooking food, but they're sweet food. It's just overwhelming. Uh But the bathroom is killer. Uh, that's definitely it, man. No, no, I can't think of another place. Maybe you've got a place that's got better. What do you think? What's a better place with bathrooms?
It really is no contest that it's
Yeah, it's
Bucky's. It
like that.
really is not. You just can't deny it. It's like if you really need to go and there's a Bucky's, you're gonna
Yeah,
stop and go
you're
to
gonna
Bucky's.
go. And everybody, even it's like everybody in the band hates it, but also wants to go there. It's
Exactly. It's a love to hate place. You hate to
it's
go,
very
but when you go,
frustrating.
dude, actually in Florida, they have like their own version of a Bucky's. I think it's like I forget what it's called. It's like I think it's like a bee. It's like honey bee or something like
Oh,
that.
really?
And it's exactly like Bucky's, but the Florida version. And like when you walk in, they have this like section and it's like just pure sugar. It's like all different kinds of sugar. Like
Well,
it's like a diabetes heaven. Like it's
that's
I
great.
next time you go tour Florida, look it up. I think it's like honeybee or something like
All right,
that.
I'll check that out. That sounds amazing.
It's a wild place, and it's in Florida, which is already a wild place. So it's like the perfect storm,
That's
you
awesome.
know.
There's lots of places that okay, speaking of gas stations that we like, of course, um, there's always Wawa. I'm sure you've been to Wawa's.
Can't
And,
go wrong.
Sheetz. Sheetz is top notch. You can go there in the middle of the night and get a sandwich. I love that. Bathrooms are usually pretty good, but it's still not on Bucky's level. I don't know.
Yeah,
Something about the
they.
bathrooms.
I think it's because they actually pay their bathroom cleaners pretty decently over there, so they
That's
make it
probably
sparkly.
true. It's gosh, I was thinking about this time that we went there on 4th of July and what a nightmare that was. Everybody had to go to the bathroom. It's 4th of July, and we're like, "Ah, we couldn't let's not stop at the Buc-ee's. Don't do this."
Oh man,
It
it
was
doesn't
it
get
was
more. It doesn't get more American than that,
no,
though. I mean,
that's 100% American in every aspect, believe me. You're gonna
uh,
know you're in America when you leave that place.
oh yeah, welcome to Texas. Well, now they're all over,
They're everywhere
but
now.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember just being a Texas thing, and now it's loosed upon the world.
I appreciate you being on this show, man. Like I
Oh,
really
man.
do.
My pleasure, dude. Thanks for having me on.
Any last words you want to say?
Buy the new Savage Master, Dark and Dangerous, comes out March 28th. That's it.